So I'm I've decided to kind of take up take up a new or a different attitude to um, all this AI stuff. Um, and I've decided to consciously not be afraid of it. Just really consciously, I'm not afraid of it. Um, I'm tired of the. Okay, so we were talking about how to pronounce a Polish word. There's a really strange word in English, and it's a profession called a monger.
Mm.
Monger, monger. So you can be a fishmonger, you
Yeah.
can be a ironmonger, but you can also be somebody who deals with negative things. So you can be a warmonger or a fearmonger. And I think with uh, all this AI stuff, this hype cycle, this bubble that we're in, there's a lot of fearmongers, and there's also a lot of people selling this vision of what AI will do for us, this perfect future that AI is going to create. And I think they're all off. I think they're all kind of not right. Like I think the future is going to be like maybe better with AI, right? It's not going to kill millions of jobs overnight, but like anything that emerges, we're all going to have to figure out how to use it. So why not embrace that with a bit of positivity and see what it can do,
Mhm.
although or be left behind, um, and have to catch up. That's so I don't know how to phrase that in a kind of a question. Maybe is season two about um, embracing embracing change or dealing with emerging stuff like AI, and how do we like
Yeah.
engage with that as people who are meant to be helping other people do things and learning and adapting and changing. Like, are we doing the same thing? Is that what season two is about?
So tell me first more about the fear. You started with you are
Yeah,
not afraid. Afraid like Skynet afraid, it will take over the world or kill all the people, or what do you
yeah,
mean by
all of
consciously
it,
not being afraid?
all of it, all of it. So I have reasons, and I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. I'm completely open to being wrong. Um, okay, my first job in 1999, I worked in a company that made voice recognition technology, and everyone said, "Oh wow, voice recognition technology, that's magic. It's amazing." And then the reality was, "Oh, you have to train it, and it's not 100% perfect all the time. Oh, it can't really respond to things that I say in the way I say it. I have to learn how to use the thing, and I have to learn how to use the things I'm working with, like Word and Excel. I can't just say make things up off the top of my head, right? Because the functionality doesn't exist to do that. You have to learn how the system
Mhm.
works to use it that way. So voice recognition in people's heads gives this promise of, oh, wow, brand new day, voice recognition technology. It's going to make it easy to use computers for everybody. Okay, no, it didn't really, and it wasn't perfect. And we had to learn how to use it and train it and incrementally make it better. Now it's part of other systems. It's not changed the world, but it's become integrated into a lot of different things. So we use voice all the time now, which is great, right? Happy days. The other thing that I would refer to is I've worked in software development for more than 20 years, and it's really hard to get things done. Like, it's really hard to get things done, get anything done. Like, to do all internal customers look at IT departments and say, like, I really don't understand why this is so complicated, why this is so complex. Even though we know why it's complex, we understand. I don't think we often take a step back and go, Jesus, this is really hard just to get something small done, right? There's all these queues and just conversations and discussions, and the technology is really tough, and we've got like maybe a product that doesn't exist. We got to create it from scratch. Maybe it's mature. It's really hard to change. Nothing is easy, right? Nothing is easy. Everything is slow. Everything takes time. That's the gritty reality, right, of working in software. It's not Hollywood. It's not swordfish. It's not hackers, right? It's not the Matrix. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that, right? It's a grind to get stuff done. So this fear, like, oh, Skynet's going to take over the world. Okay, here's the other reason. There's research constantly being done about AI and what it's capable of and what it's not. And it's mechanical. It's not thinking. It's a mechanical tool that you can use. If you know how to use your systems, you can plug it in to your systems to help you with things. But
Mhm.
as someone who has tried to automate things for 20 years, more than 20 years, it's hard to automate stuff. Like it's hard. You've got to have a repeatable process. You got to recognize where automation can work. And automation doesn't work all the time. It breaks and you got to maintain it and it becomes a thing that people work on. Right.
Mhm.
So while I think AI can help us and speed up things, I still think people are going to be involved for a very, very long time. And I think the promises of AI are really oversold. It's also kind of cool, and I'm enjoying working with it. So there's this two-sided thing I have. I'm not fearful of it. I'm I'm taking things with a pinch of salt and approaching it with enthusiasm. That's my attitude towards it.
And I saw you just liked on LinkedIn or even reposted something from Teresa Torres related to instead of reading about it, instead of being scared or being enthusiastic or whatever, just play with it, start
Right.
using it. Yeah, I think that's doing aspect is very important here, and I completely agree. Just start using it, start experimenting. You wanna say more about it? It feels like an
Yeah.
interview now. Paddy, tell us more.
No, it's true though. And that post like that Teresa Torres, that you scroll past a million things in a month, but that was a month ago, and I've probably thought about it 10 times since. Um, like even experienced technical people, I think, can have a bit of fear about this AI stuff and what's it going to mean for me and what's it going to do for me.
Mhm.
Whereas I think if you're if you're playing with it, like even I was at a meeting last week and it summarized the meeting. Awesome. Like, yeah, great. That's one thing it can do. But what about when you have four or five conversations on the same topic? What are you doing with the four or five summaries then? Can you do something more fun with that? Like Notebook LM generates a Talking Heads podcast. Maybe you can play that at the start of the fifth conversation and bring everybody back up to speed with everything we talked about, because those conversations happen over a long period of time, and we're all multi-threaded, and we're all so the where I'm coming from with this is like it can help with some of the things I've been trying to do as a Scrum Master and a developer tech lead for years, which is
Yeah.
keep keep knowledge on the table. Like knowledge pours out of people all the time. And that metaphor works because it just blows away. It just goes. And if you think of knowledge as the maybe most precious asset of any team, any person, any company, right? As a business asset, a business
Mhm.
resource, we're wasting knowledge all the time. All the time. It's just people are talking and not listening. It's not being retained. It's not being written down. We walk out of a room, we walk back in a month later, and we're talking about the same thing again. Nothing's being decided. So I
People leave
think,
the company and
uh-huh, all it's different people in the room, but somehow the conversation is the same. What's not working here? And I think there's a role for AI
yeah.
in this stuff. I don't know what it is yet. It's emerging, but there's a role there.
I think I've got a glimpse recently of what it can be, because Microsoft and Copilot, it integrates into more and more things, and it integrates into Outlook, into Teams. It can integrate into Slack, and you can now prompt it with things like, based on all the things you have access to, SharePoint, Teams conversations, Slack conversations, mails that I receive. Can you give me hints about things that you think will fail soon? Maybe there's a dependency that we are not paying attention to. There's something that we just don't yet fully understand. Like, maybe they talk about something, we talk about something, someone talks about, and it just doesn't overlap the way it should for the process to flow smoothly. Can you tell me more about it, dear AI? And like
I,
right now, it's distributed knowledge in many people's heads, and AI can actually help with that. You can already do some super easy stuff, like just tell me what was happening in the company during last 2 weeks when I was on holiday. Give me an overview. Give me summary of what happened in this project. Tell me what happened in general. Like you can summarize. You can ask it to summarize, but you can also start asking it preemptively, like, tell me what will happen, what is most likely to happen. Tell me the unknown unknowns, things that I don't see. And it will generate something, and it's up to you to decide, does it make sense or is it just a hallucination?
so the boundaries or the limits or the ways that it could fail, I think it's related to so you're talking about Copilot in 365, and that's being rolled out where I work now. And it's great. It's really good. I can say to Copilot in Outlook, find 30 minutes with Pavel next week after Wednesday.
Mhm.
Well, okay, I haven't tried after Wednesday, but next Wednesday, I could say, if I want to be specific about a day. And it does the boring work of opening the meeting, going to the scheduling assistant, scrolling through your calendar to find a free time, right? So little mundane moments of friction is what AI is good at reducing, right? You need to be an
Mhm.
expert. You need to be an expert in the tool you're using to understand the right command that will give you the right result. That's assumed, right? So the boundaries or the limits of this, I think, are people's expectations. Is it going to make it easier to learn how to use Outlook? Maybe, maybe because
Mhm.
you'll be able to discuss with the prompt, like, I want to do this. What's the right command? Help me with a prompt. I want to do this. Can I do that? So you can chat with the tool, right? Which
Yeah.
makes things a little bit more autonomous. But I think for me right now, we're looking at, so we're in Atlassian where I work, all the tools, Jira and Confluence, and they have a tool called Loom, which is video recording. And Loom also can be a note taker in Teams or other you know meeting call recording tools. So you can get your meetings a bit closer to your work with that.
Mhm.
You can your transcripts aren't just over here in SharePoint. They're in there with the work. They're in here with the ticket. They're in the ticket. They're part of the ticket. Like they're they're somehow the link between the conversation and the work is maintained, transcribed. It's a Confluence page, or it's an issue, or a bug, or
Yeah.
part of a bug. So for someone like me, like the story, we're starting an AI community of practice where I work today, and the story I'm bringing is from the company we worked in together. I was halfway through a conversation about refining a bug, one of many, one of many refinement conversations in a very busy team. And 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the conversation, someone in the team said, "Wait, We refined this already. I remember this. Why isn't why are we talking about it again? And everybody looked at each other and said, "Did we? What? Like, the ticket's not updated." And he was right. We had. Everybody went, "Oh yeah." But we talked about it for a full 20 minutes
Yeah.
before somebody pointed it out because the ticket wasn't updated. And this is an absurd story. I know it is, right? I feel a little bit embarrassed. It's a failure, right? Telling that story. For all of us recognized, oh, we failed, but mostly me, right? Because I was organizing the refinement meeting. Um, and myself and I was our product owner even there? Anyway, I remember talking to the product owner about it and just being like, that was bad. But that's an example. And so often we come to a conversation where we're picking up a thread. First 10, 15, 20 minutes are about picking up the thread, getting it in, getting people's, getting it back on people's minds. Or you're in a conversation and I wasn't really paying attention for those 5 or 10 minutes because I was doing something else. Or 5 people are here, we're talking for 10 minutes, someone arrives late. All of these tiny frictions. I think that's what I'm interested in. I'm not
Mm.
sure yet. I'm not sure yet about the bigger things. I don't have a good perspective on the bigger changes, right? The macro level stuff. Like 10 years from now, will our jobs be at risk? I guess previous technology bubbles tell us no, right? If we kind of get on the train and figure out where it's going. But at
I
the
think
at the micro level, it's I'm enthusiastic.
I think there's something with the. So I was thinking about the complexity science and how things like narratives are important. And right now it requires a lot of work to gather all the uh, small signals from a company. Like what you have said that there's a meeting and it can be transcribed and there's a lot of knowledge just being exchanged and it's like a wave, it comes and then it goes. Right now it can be transcribed and you don't even need to feed it into AI. It can be just somewhere there and you can ask AI to access transcriptions like of certain team meetings or whatever, and it can use it to help you understand what's happening. I think that is very interesting, something that is appearing somewhere on the horizon. I don't know if it's going to be anything really useful, for example, for understanding how um, transformations can work better in a complex environment. I'm not really I'm not into the word transformation,
Mm,
but even this, a lot of conversations are not being recorded, and a lot of, for example, narratives that people formulate, it's like a coffee chat, coffee, uh, water cooler exchange of information style, and that's not being recorded, and that's good. A lot of information is shared through private messages in Slack or wherever, Teams. And also, I imagine AI has no access to information like this. So there is still a lot missing. But I think from what is there and freely available is just that no one can comprehend all of it. No one can gather all of it to formulate some idea, some opinion. And AI is good at having access to all of it and maybe providing some options or some things to pay attention to. And that's an interesting direction for me.
and I think one thing for us to think about is like this is kind of a lesson I learned maybe early in my career of everything, everything you say and everything you write, you need to think like you're saying it in public, because things you say can be repeated, things you write can be sent to other people. And that's just a principle, right? That's just a guiding principle. So I think you can take that and bring it into this world of AI and agents, right? So like I would be cautious on email. I would be cautious on private messages, unless it's something like on my phone in WhatsApp, which is mine, right? And separate from the world of work, right? Or I'm in a conversation at home away from my work environment, right?
Mm.
That's the separation for me. But if I'm at work, excuse me, and this is kind of like part of the agile coach role, isn't it? Like not to be part of gossip, not to be, cynical, not to be
Mhm.
tearing things down, kind of be the supporter, be the amplifier. I think there's a role there for agile coaches. This is where I'm coming from with the AI stuff as well, by the way. So I have a sticky note here, and I wrote this yesterday. I think there's a principle, right, which is work out loud, and I'm in a company that talks about knowledge sharing as something they want more of, and there are some people who are key person dependencies. I used to be a key person dependency. It's tough, right? You're the only person who does something, so everybody relies on you for that, and you have juggling priorities, and you got to schedule your annual leave with lots of people in mind, and it's hard, right? It's really hard. So I'm thinking if they could work out loud with AI assistants, it would be like I did expert driving training once, and you had to drive out loud. So you drive and you're saying like, I'm going to go down to second gear now because we're approaching a roundabout and there's a pedestrian over there. That could be a hazard, but I've got my eye on him and we're approaching the roundabout. There's a car in front of us. I'm going to go down to first gear now and cruise towards the roundabout, putting the brakes. Everything's fine, just checking the traffic. So I'm talking through everything I'm doing,
Yeah.
maybe with a screen recorder on to say, like, I'm opening the mainframe edit menu, right? And this is how I edit the screen, and this is how I add a field, and this is the validation I'm adding. And maybe nobody else knows how that works, but you can screen record for half an hour, narrate it with a Loom assistant or a AI assistant somewhere transcribing, and the AI assistant can summarize that, and suddenly you've got an artifact that's better than nothing, right?
Mhm.
And you've done it all by yourself. And it's like if somebody wants to learn how to do that stuff, they've got a repository of things that they can take and maybe use a tool to aggregate and summarize that. Say, give this to me in a digestible way. I have 3 hours. You know, I really think there's potential with this stuff. So I'm looking forward to experiments with it.
And I just realized that it became a conversation about AI
Yeah,
purely.
yeah. But it's not just I think it's about the stuff of agile, right? It's like we're still developing software. That's still what we're doing, and we're still helping people do that.
Yeah. So when it's gonna facilitate a workshop for me, Paddy, tell me.
When's it going to facilitate a workshop? Do you know what? It'll help you facilitate a workshop because you don't have to worry about capturing the notes, the action items, the attendance. You know, you can relax. And honestly, someone asked a question yesterday on a call I was on, and it's a really good question. How will it change people's behaviors on calls or in meetings? I think that's a really interesting question. You know, that's a well, it
Yeah.
depends, right?
It can definitely help you prepare, structure. Uh, we did some small experiments related to how it can help you during the event, even because obviously you can also summarize and so on. But I was very curious to know how it can help you during the event, because actually it can listen to all what is happening and maybe give you hints based on that. I would love to have my personal assistant on a mobile phone AI that sits with me as a facilitator during the workshop and suddenly gives me a hint. Hey, don't you think it's about time for them to move on to the next subject? Hey, dear group, do you think it's time to move on? Something like
I
this. It
don't. I
sounds
don't think we're
easy.
far from that, and that's it. Like if you're an expert and you have a context specific reason for using AI, maybe you can find a way to train it to assist you in that way, right? And then the question is, if you use it, does it work?
Mhm.
Until you try, you won't know. Like maybe it'll interject at stupid moments, and you'll be like, "Oh, stupid AI," right? Because that's technology. It doesn't work perfectly first time. Rarely, it promises wonderful things, and then when the rubber hits the road, it's actually a bit trickier and maybe not as perfect as we initially thought. That's
Yeah.
that's life, right? But I think it can do things well for us. We just got to figure out what those things are. So yeah, and maybe the
Definitely.
macro thing is something to be afraid of, and I'm just stupidly optimistic. I don't know, but for now, I think there's an opportunity to just play with it, like that Teresa Torres post, literally. And that's the reason I got into technology in the first place. Another part of this, right, is like I've played computer games for 20, 30 years, more, 40 years. And they're starting to be the games I wanted to play when I was 7 years old, right? They're amazing now. The technology is amazing. It's brilliant. It's 3D, it's narrative, it's like movies, they're incredible. And I think AI is kind of nudging us towards technology actually becoming something helpful, useful, time saving.
Yeah.
Um, and again,
There's
I'm becoming one of those people that overpromises. But like, it's I just it's the first time in a long time I felt kind of optimistic about something being able to genuinely help. Like,
then I'll throw another. So a friend of mine keeps telling me that, hey, you work with processes as an agile coach. You look at a lot of processes. I bet you also see a lot of possibilities for AI to, integrate into those processes and automate a lot of steps that are being done right now. And, it's like a huge business opportunity because people were doing this and now actually this can be done with AI and it will be faster, better. And I've been thinking about, all right, the part I'm working with processes. Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I look at the processes, but it's not easy to find those opportunities for AI to automate things in the process. And he keeps telling me that I bet it's just there. You just need to look, and it's a huge business opportunity to offer to companies automation of their processes based on some business cases. Like you did it, it worked. It can be multiplied in other companies, and I find it very hard actually to look for opportunities like that. Like AI is still a nice sidekick most of the time, not the thing that takes over you know the developer or architect or someone like product role. It helps you to prepare better documents, maybe prepare them faster as a product manager, but it's still not a step in the process. What do you think?
well, I'm thinking. So Mick Kirsten has a book called From Project to Product, and I'm not sure if it's his idea of a value stream, but he talks about a value stream as involving um, the people, the flow of work through people, the flow of work through systems, and that the work is information flowing through the work, flowing through the systems, flowing through the people,
Mhm.
right? So very conceptually, we're all trying to make the information move through the systems until it becomes code, and then it's a different kind of information, and then it becomes software, and then it goes to customers, right? And we can represent that diagrammatically, and it's a nice idea. And I think that's where AI can help us. It's that information flow. So finding those delays or the waste or the rework in information that slows down the flow of work. I think that's the I don't know what the right metaphor is. That's the zone of interest for me. Um, Knowledge decay because of we didn't write the minutes, and then we come back 2 weeks later and we're having the same conversation. Because we're
Yeah.
busy and we're trying to do 20 things in the sprint. And we're very good at item 1 to 5, but item 6 to 20, not so much. So I think there's a lot of to use, like there's a lot of waste in the system.
Yeah. Just looking for a way to find that waste.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
replace the waste with a good AI.
Yeah, and I think what sometimes with this stuff, these things are hard to measure, and maybe we don't necessarily need to measure before we get started. We can try things and just ask around, like, is this better?
Mhm.
Like, does it just feel like we're having better conversations, that we're arriving prepared and we're leaving done?
Yeah.
Um, like my example of a working group of people from different teams. They got together around a retrospective item that was like, it's really hard to build the product, pretty challenging. So all people from different teams got together, and every time we meet, it's like 2 weeks later, and they're switching context from their teams into this working group, and it's hard to do that, right? But this is something that is cross team and it affects everybody, so it's really important. Everybody recognizes that, or they wouldn't be there, right? So to help with that, getting back into the subject, to take the tax of context switching and make it a bit lower, I think there's a role for AI. Like I did a bit of knowledge, research with something, and put the output into that Notebook LM tool, the podcast tool. It makes a talking heads kind of podcast, and it's like
Yeah.
it was fun. And like I listened back to the podcast, and I was like, this was great. Like I'm learning from my own research, which is what I wanted, right? Um, and okay, caveats. I knew the sources that I was interested in because I'd read their work, or I'd talked to them, or I had watched videos by them. Um, so I was leaning into stuff that I wanted to as an expert, right? Okay, expert is loosely used here, right? I don't claim to be a major expert, but I'd read the stuff, right? So I'm more further on in the chapter in the book than people who haven't. And I'm asking the tool to give me a balanced argument, not to validate my assumption. Right. So tell me, is this hypothesis true or false? And give me the evidence on both sides from these people who I trust, right? And bring
Yeah.
in other experts like these people. And I got a really good result. So and that then I can bring that to a group who are debating this and say, look, here's what the external experts say. Do we have internal data? Let's decide. Let's get it off the table and move on.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know. I think there's little opportunities, little and frequent.
I think it's funny. I just got a letter right now related to a bit of land that I have here in Poland, and I just took a picture of the letter, put it into ChatGPT, and asked, "What does it mean? And what opportunities does it bring? What are the risks related to what's written in this quite formal with a lot of paragraphs type of letter. Explain it to me like, I'm 18 years old.
Hmm.
And it does. And it does an amazing job at that. Also, including here's what you can do. You can do this, this, this. Click here, check this, go here. And that's very useful, like daily life, actually. All the things where you might need to before you would if you want to go deep you need to take this and take it to some expert, and now the expert is in my mobile phone. That's super convenient.
Absolutely. I had a Homer Simpson moment this week where I was using ChatGPT for something. I don't even remember what it was. And it said, I've got the response here. What would you like me to do next? One, would you like me to, I think it was like a meeting summary. Would you like me to format the meeting summary in a Word document? Number two, would you like me to generate markup for HTML? Or I don't know what the second option was. And instead of saying, please generate the Word document, I typed one, enter, and it did option one. And I was like, oh. You know that when he figures out you can hit Y instead of yes? It's like, oh, I can just hit one? Oh my God, I've like quadrupled my productivity. So yeah, there's a lot of learning with this stuff.
Yeah. All right.